Yes, sir. We're officially back at it. Boog Nice coming at you with the Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Deluxe Snake Eyes figure review. Let's do it.
This ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini matey I'm fucking with. Hype beast we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about.
And a quick look at the back of the box. You can see a bunch of information there down at the bottom. The same G.I. Joe logo here, similar to the one you've seen on the front. The Hasbro logo down here. This is just the outer sort of sleeve of the box. You can actually take this out. Sorry, my space does not warrant for me to do too much as far as this goes, but you can see some Japanese writing there. I'm not sure what that says. And then this portion can be lifted and you can reveal some very nice artwork here. Almost look like it's done with like pastels or some sort of charcoal or something like that. And the material here is really nice, really cool. And then you remove that and that will reveal the regular packaging for the figure and some accessories and stuff here. There's accessories on the outside, accessories on the inside. This is very nicely packaged. Very good job here, Hasbro. Way to unveil a new line and put out the first figure in a deluxe package, and this is very impressive. And then there's the actual box that the figure is packed into. You can see the back artwork here, just kind of black and white, but it's very, very detailed. I like it. A splash page or a cover art for a comic book or something like that. And there's the side, front, and there's that same sort of insignia or whatever that says. I don't know. Help me out if you do know. Let's get this bad boy open, see what's what. All right, here we go. Snake Eyes, aka Snake Eyes. This guy is shrouded in a lot of mystery. We don't know too much about him. We know that he is an excellent hand-to-hand combatant, that he's a sergeant in G.I. Joe, that he always wears his mask, pretty much a similar suit, I guess, in the comic books and in the cartoon or what have you, that he was disfigured during a helicopter explosion, and that's why he wears the mask. And in that explosion, his vocal cords were damaged, so we know he's a mute. He does not speak, but we all know him as one of our favorite members of G.I. Joe, one of the coolest members. Anybody that's a ninja and has guns and can fight, you know, people are going to gravitate toward him. So this is a long time coming for me. I'm a huge G.I. Joe fan. In fact, I'm watching the cartoon and going out and buying the figures. That's what really got me into collecting. And those were some of my very first ACBA setups, my very first setups, period, messing with the vehicles. And even back then, wishing that I could have little explosion effects and blood effects and different things to really flesh out my displays. And now as an adult, that has become fully realized, and I am happy. Very happy about this. So like I said, always been a huge fan of G.I. Joe, always been a huge fan of the military. I suppose because I've had a lot of family members involved in the military. My father was in the military, he was military police. His father, my grandfather, was in the military, he fought in the war. I have an uncle that was a Green Beret. I've got a cousin who was in the Navy, one of my closest cousins who we lived together for some time after he got kicked out of the Navy. Couldn't get that gangster shit out of his blood, I guess. Neither one of us could. I almost went to the military as a young man after high school, following around some girl at the time, but I was working out with the Marines and the instructors were trying to recruit me. I took the test and they were trying to recruit me, but my dad wouldn't sign off for whatever reason. But this was before 9/11. I think when 9/11 happened, I was like 20. So if I would have went into the Marines at that time after high school, no question about it, I would have went into Afghanistan or Iraq or something like that. So I might not be here. I might be dead. But, you know, I've always had respect for the military. Shout out to anybody involved in the military. But again, this dates very far back with my love for military characters. I've always been kind of militant myself and real structured, and I always worked out. I was always in shape and run and jog and push-ups and all of that good stuff. So yeah, enough about my personal history. Snake Eyes here is looking very good for Hasbro's first offering in the G.I. Joe line. Honestly, I could be one and done with this. I'm pretty happy with this. And this is probably one of my favorite figures so far this year. He is dope. The articulation is just bonkers. A very, very good figure. Let's go over the accessories though. Well, real quick, just a close look at the deco here. A lot of separate parts here. You know, this is a separate part. You can see a peg hole in the back. Looks like when you attach the backpack, that'll hold everything into place. All of these have a different texture, different material. This belt is a separate part. These holsters are a separate part. I'm so happy that they included working holsters with my man. A lot of different textures and just a few different colors. The black and this sort of like dark gray. The silver on the visor probably could have been a little more shiny, I guess. I've seen some customs already. I've seen some people add some custom paint to this guy, and you're going to see that a lot. I'm sure quite a few people bought multiples of this character so they could mess around with him. But just for a base sort of design, I think he looks pretty damn good. The feel of the figure, if you're wondering, it feels like a Marvel Legends figure. The parts are not really like gummy, but it is sort of like a softer plastic, and he is super duper agile, pliable. You're gonna have fun with this guy for sure. So being that this is a deluxe figure, they did not disappoint. I would definitely categorize this as deluxe. You get this weapons rack here that has weapons for each particular level here. And these are the weapons that were kind of outside of the box. He's got a couple of scythes here. He's got this long sword, these little axes. I don't know what the actual traditional name is for that. This sort of double-bladed staff. These type of pickaxe things, I don't know what they are, and another smaller sword down here at the bottom. I guess you could kind of mix and match and put these wherever you see fit. I think this was the proper way to apply this stuff to the rack, but it is double-sided, dropping stuff. And so that's cool. You can see these two little wolves, or I don't know, ancient Japanese animals. I don't know what it is. Other thing that I forgot to mention about his history is we do know that he has some relationship to Storm Shadow. I think they came from the same clan or something like that. And that he's had a relationship in the past, or has been depicted to have a relationship with Scarlet. But this little ancient design here looks great. I think they did a really good job here with the rack, but I'm gonna go over the individual items that came packed in the box with him. And like I mentioned, he does come with the backpack, so that's the first accessory we're looking at. It does just peg right into his back through the hole in this little harness. So this looks pretty good. You can see a couple buckles here on the side. Not the most detailed, but it's pretty good. It matches the deco. Forgot to mention too that these armbands are a separate part too, so anything that looks like it's separate, it probably is. And this is like an ode to the older Joe figures, because a good majority of them came with backpacks that you could plug into their back. He's packed in with this small sort of buck knife or combat knife, and this looks good. He can hold all of the weapons with no issue, by the way. And this one can actually be holstered here in this little sheath on his left thigh. There you go, there's that. And then he's packed in with a pistol. I'm not sure what's this supposed to be. Is it a 45? Beretta? I don't know what it is. Let me know in the comments below which real life gun this resembles. One of your gun nuts down there. But this looks good. Again, he can hold it with no problem. His finger is in the trigger groove, so that looks very good. And this can be holstered here on his right side, like so. Oh, and I just realized he's packed in with a little silencer as well. So this comes in the package detached from the pistol, and you can just plug it in right here. It is a little warped. Might have to do a little hot water, cold water trick to even this out. But the pistol and the silencer can both be holstered on his right side there. So I'll do that. There you go. That looks great. He's also packed in with another sword and sheath here. And these look like they can be attached to the side of his backpack. So I think he can carry all his gear that's packed in the box. Let's see. There's a little peg right there and a peg hole on the side of the bag. So some more little details here. This looks like it's supposed to be almost like a leather material. And another little insignia there. And there's that little peg hole on the side of the bag. And I assume that's how that goes. So I guess you could do one of these numbers here and just reach back for it. And finally, his last weapon from inside of the box is this machine gun. Again, no issues holding it. His fingers in the trigger groove. He looks good. Aiming it, holding it up, whatever you want him to do. The articulation lends to that. I'll go over the articulation shortly. And he does have two more accessories. Unfortunately, there's nowhere to holster the machine gun, but considering all the gear that he can carry, I'm not mad at that. He can hold this in his hand, no problems there. And it looks like the silencer will work for the machine gun as well. Maybe it's for the machine gun and not the pistol. I don't know. It's got to be for the pistol if it's going to be holstered with the pistol. So I guess it does work for both. I do need to fix this, though. I hate the way that it's warped right now. But you get the picture. Still looks great. And it should be noted that his hands can be popped off, and his final two accessories are two interchangeable hands. The head can obviously be popped off as well. We do know that Snake Eyes is a white male. He's been pictured with blonde hair and blue eyes, the typical American hero, I suppose. But yeah, so if you wanted to do some swaps or something like that, or get a custom head where the visor paint is better, or the visor looks different, or whatever you want to do, you know, that is an option. There are a lot of customizable options with this guy, and we've already been seeing quite a few. But let me swap on these other two hands. So the other two interchangeable hands are a right hand with his fingers close together, the thumb tucked in, and he has something here wrapped around the palm of his hand. There's a little band right there, and then there is something protruding here. So I suppose there's some type of striking weapon. If you know the real name of whatever that's supposed to be, let me know in the comments below. But that looks pretty cool. And obviously we know that Snake Eyes is a martial artist, so this is a much needed additional hand, this sort of open hand striking palm thing that we got going on here. I think that looks good. And then he has an additional left hand with a ninja star in between his thumb and his pointer finger, and that looks really good too. So you can position this as you see fit and make it seem like he's about to throw it. And what a great assortment of accessories. So my only gripes in terms of accessories is that there weren't a couple of more hands, or maybe some loose ninja stars, so that way, you know, it could look like he threw one when you're doing your setups, and you can maybe stick it into a wall or into another figure or whatever you want to do. And the fact that he was not packed in with a trusty timber figure. Even if it was just something static, that would have been really cool. They kind of dropped the ball on that. But I do see them releasing another Snake Eyes, and we'll get Timber somewhere down the line. And I can see that the stuff that was packed in with him here, most of it will probably be exclusive to this set. And if you missed out on this guy, you're going to be pissed, because I can see this guy going up crazy on the secondary market. I'm sure he already has. Great assortment of accessories though, man. I really can't complain as far as the accessories go. So in terms of articulation, you see me messing around with him and bending him up quite a bit. I'm sure most of you can already assume what type of articulation we have here. It's the full range of articulation you would get on any Marvel Legends figure or on the Lightning Collection figures. I think the articulation may be better than the Lightning Collection. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't opened any of those figures, although I do own a couple. But head is on a ball joint. He can look up pretty damn far. He can look down. He can look left to right. Pivot. No problem there. You saw the head was on the ball joint. You saw me pop the head off. Shoulders are on the ball joint. They're going to come up just about that far. There is a butterfly joint there as well. I probably need to work it a bit more to loosen it up, but you do get a full range of motion on the shoulders. There is an upper bicep swivel. There is a double jointed elbow. There's a swivel and a hinge on the wrist, although the wrist hinge backward and forward on the left hand and up and down on the right hand. Actually, no, this one, they change as far as the hands are concerned. Yeah, my bad. It's up and down on the other two hands that were attached where he can hold his guns. And then these two have the sort of traditional hinge. So same thing on both sides. As far as the arms go, you do get rotation at the waist. You get a very nice ab crunch. You can see he can crunch down really far, and he can move back really far as well. T-joint at the pelvis. The legs come up far. You do get a full split. Look at that range inside there. So double sort of barbell joint in there. Very nice range. Upper thigh swivel. Double jointed knee. You do get rotation at the upper boot. You get a hinge and a pivot on the foot. My only gripe as far as the feet are concerned is that I wish the foot could hinge up a little bit more here. But you are able to get them in a great crouching pose and get them kind of sitting sort of in like a Spider-Man-esque pose. So it's not terrible, but a better range of motion right here, at least as far as the hinge go. Just a bit more would be better for him to kind of be flush with the base. That was one of my gripes with the older release of the Miles Morales Spider-Man. This is essential, that the hinge can come up, especially for somebody as agile as Snake Eyes. But very good range of motion. You're going to have a lot of fun posing this guy up. Great job, Hasbro, on this articulation, on the accessories. I'm pleased overall. And just a few quick size comparisons. On the far left is the S.H.Figuarts 20th anniversary Green Ranger. This is the one that came with the unmasked head. That looks kind of funny, but I have the regular masked head on him right there. And then right next to him is the 90s Deadpool. I think this was from, I forget which wave. Let me know in the comments or something will pop up here. But you can see how he stacks up next to Snake Eyes. They look like they're about in the same scale. And then the Mafex John Wick. This is the second John Wick that Mafex put out. The one that came with the dog, which I actually break out real quick just so you can see size comparison with that. On the far right is the Figma Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid. And there's the dog that came packed in with John Wick. So if we would have gotten a Timber figure, maybe he would have been a little larger than this dog, because he is a wolf. He's not a dog. So it should be pretty large in comparison to Snake Eyes. But hopefully, like I said, somewhere down the line they will release that. And then I swapped in the Mezco Cable here, so you can see he's the largest of all of these figures. However, he's still on the small side for Cable. We went over that before. There's the Mafex Bruce Wayne with a custom Donald Trump head on there, and the cloak from the Star Wars Black Series Emperor Palpatine or Darth Sidious. And then there's a Star Wars Black Series, I forget her name, but you know her. She has great articulation, that's why I bought her. And on the far right is the NECA Planet of the Apes gorilla dude. And there's the Figma Void, just so I could flex on you. And then on the right is some soft soap antibacterial hand soap, just to remind you guys to wash your nasty hands. Alright, I know for certain that he scales well with the Articulated Icon Ninjas, which I think I'll break out for a display, or you'll definitely see him in a display with them. I've already seen him in several displays with those, and I would assume that he scales well with Bobby Vala's Action Force figures as well. I don't have any of those yet. I don't know if they actually even out yet. There is a weapons pack that is on pre-order that we've been promoting. A link for that will be in the description below. But I will flesh out some more ideas and what have you on the channel and on Instagram, so stay tuned for that. Alright, I'm getting up out of here. This right here is 23 years in the making. Finally getting to do what I started out trying to do as a 8 or 9 year old, as a 39-year-old. But here we are, Hasbro's first offering of their 6-inch G.I. Joe figures. I said first offering of G.I. Joe earlier in the review, but first offering of 6-inch Joes. This is something that a lot of us have been wanting and hoping and praying for quite a while, and finally we're here. So I'm not really on board with some of the designs of the other characters that are slated to drop. They look a little cartoony, little Fortnite-ish. We talked about that on the podcast, but we'll see what happens. Destro looks very good, and I'm thinking that maybe they may have two lines going, one that's a little more kid-friendly maybe, and then maybe one that's more closer to the original designs for the die-hard G.I. Joe fans. So hopefully that's what it will be. And as promised, these are the Articulated Icons Ninjas here, and they work very well alongside Snake Eyes, so I think that looks great. And this little muzzle flare is from the Figma Solid Snake, so that's another accessory that they probably could have included, was a little muzzle flare, maybe some smoke effects for the guns, something similar to what they just released in the Target exclusive Black Widow figure. So I'm asking for a lot, but you still got a lot. This is one I would definitely recommend. As far as I know, it's sold out though on Hasbro Pulse right now, so if you missed out, I'm sure that you are not happy. But great figure, great job Hasbro. Thanks for hanging out. As always, rate, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, peace.